Hello everyone, welcome to the Green Man channel. Hope you're doing good and well. So I now move on to episode 6 of my favourite shoegaze and dream pop albums, and it's hard to go much further into this series of videos without talking about what's regarded as the godfather of all shoegaze albums, that being of course Loveless by My Bloody Valentine, released in November 1991 under Creation Records, and the album is 11 tracks and 48 minutes in length. And the funny thing is, a lot of people I talk to when I've talked about that I enjoy shoegaze, first of all, a lot of people don't really know what shoegaze even is, or dream pop, and then if you mention an album like this, probably most people that maybe just listen to mainstream music still don't know of Loveless or of even My Bloody Valentine, and I've always found that quite interesting. I mean, I suppose shoegaze, particularly in the 90s, became overshadowed by movements like the grunge movement. Britpop as well became extremely popular in that era. So very quickly, I think a lot of shoegaze artists were kind of swept away. But you do have a lot of kind of classic albums from that era, from that little period of time, and this one in particular is one of those that is really, really revered by those who know My Bloody Valentine, and most likely they love this album. It does take a few times to really appreciate Loveless and to perhaps understand it even. It is one of those albums, perhaps, if you are more of a fan of metal on my channel, like a bit like Meshuggah, where you kind of have to take a bit of time to really appreciate what's going on under the surface of the music, that it is more than it just at first would seem to your ears. It is truly an experience, and this album is best listened to with a good set of headphones, maybe late at night when you just want to completely zone out to something really unique and interesting like Loveless. So something else I would also say about Samuel, what I've learned about Loveless, is that actually it doesn't have very much reverb on. Now you think of some of the other shoegaze classics like, Lucky by Slowdive, and other of those kind of albums that use or are awash with an awful lot of reverb in their mix and in their sounds. And actually Loveless by My Bloody Valentine, yeah, it's referred to as a shoegaze album. It is a shoegaze classic and everything, but they don't use much what is a bit of a watermark of the genre, which is the use of all that reverb. In fact, Kevin Shields, it was more the way he was probably recording this album and making use of the equipment he was using, in particular the way he created the wavy sounds on his electric guitar, which was using a lot of tremolo bar to give that wavy effect on the guitar in particular. And that's why you get a lot of, or at least why you get the sounds you do on a lot of Loveless, because it's kind of the technique being used and the recording methods being used to get what was ultimately this really, at the time would be considered a really extraordinary album. I really liked tracks like, first of all, you kind of have a few different styles of even though this is probably it's quite a fluid album. I think each song melts into one another pretty well, and Only Shallow is actually one of the tracks, the opener, which is a bit more direct. It's a bit easier to discern the groove in this one because it feels like there's just a clearer sound. But then you get a track like To Hear Knows When, which is actually possibly the track I love the most on this album, my favourite. It's super dreamy, and I think you have a bit of maybe keyboard in this one at the beginning, and it just creates this amazing aura. And it's hypnotic music, this is kind of hypnotizing, but in the very best way possible. It's not hypnotic in an annoying way. This is hypnotic in a really beautiful, kind of gorgeous, textured way. I also really like Soon on here as well, and Sometimes, which is actually used in Lost in Translation soundtrack, I believe, too. And then the more direct What You Want, which again, a bit like Only Shallow, has a pretty discernible groove to it as well. This is an album which I think, if you have a leaning or a bit of a love of the shoegaze sound, then you will most probably appreciate this album by My Bloody Valentine a lot more than if you're not really kind of, if you don't really, if this isn't really your taste. I guess this would be a much harder album to really truly appreciate and enjoy. But for me, it is undoubtedly a true classic of the shoegaze genre, and one which I will often revisit, because I just enjoy it for what it is, really, at the end of all things, at the end of the day. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. I will surely have more shoegaze and dreampop albums to share in the future, so look out for more of those episodes. Sorry that this one's been a little while. It's been the gaps between my shoegaze and dreampop episodes recently have been a little bit longer, getting longer and longer. Perhaps that is slightly ironically appropriate for the Loveless album, I don't know. But anyway, hope you all have great evenings. Otherwise, perhaps see you next time, or to who knows when, should I say. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.